Hi, my name is Victoria Greer, and this is my Module 7 presentation. My problem of practice was teachers versus planning time. So I chose this topic because I have noticed in my own personal experience and listening to the experience of other teachers that planning time is the most vital and the most overlooked, underused time. Somehow teachers are expected to make all their copies, finalize their lesson plans, have their collaborative planning, grade level planning, and also have IEP meetings and literacy coach meetings and all the other meetings and the parent conferences and still find time to breathe. If you've got children, a lot of teachers use that time to take their kids to doctor's appointments or go to their own doctor's appointments. um, so it's really, I've noticed that planning time is not enough time at all. For most teachers, it's an hour, maybe 45 minutes. And it feels like you're running in circles trying to do all these things. But the research has shown that planning time is not a scheduling issue, it's a teacher effectiveness issue. And to me, that meant that it's not that the planning time isn't there on the paper schedule, it's that it's not being used effectively either by design or by the teachers themselves or whichever. Planning time is not enough. So on the left, I've got an overview of my topic. Like I said, planning time is the part of the school day reserved for lesson prep, grading, collaboration, instructional decision making, and everything in between. For teachers, it should be the most sacred, protected, do not mess with me time. And it's the opposite. That's the time when teachers are supposed to be available to anybody and everybody for everything. It's often interrupted, looked over, all the things. It's not being used how it should be. And this matters because planning time affects the quality of instruction teachers can provide. If I don't have a second to breathe and collect myself, make sure I've got all my materials together, everything, the lesson suffers, the students suffer. When it's limited, teachers often work outside of the school day, increasing burnout, increasing teachers feeling like they have no home life or outside life, that school has taken over everything, and that's never good for the mental on a teacher. And insignificant planning time can increase stress, reduce collaboration, and contribute to burnout and turnover. Again, horrible for the mental health of a teacher. Overall, this is what I found through my literature. Across most of the studies, teachers consistently reported that they do not have enough meaningful planning time, whether it be there's not enough time itself or there's not enough time for them to actionably use, or they're not using it in the way that it should be used. Teachers do not have enough planning time. And then, second, teachers often experience planning time that is too short, interrupted, or taken up with other demands. Again, that might be maybe running to cover another class. They've got meetings, they've got parent conferences, they've got other things that they're supposed to squeeze in those 45 minutes when they're supposed to be making their copies, planning their lessons, making sure they've got everything ready to go for their kids. And common planning time is most useful when it is intentional, protected, and structured for collaboration. And so, what that means to me is planning time has to be protected. It's got to be, it can't be well, maybe we can fit this in here. Maybe I can do this too. No, it's got to be a designated, dedicated. I'm only going to do my copies. I'm only going to do my lesson plans. I'm only going to plan for my instruction. I put the qualitative and quantitative findings on separate slides because I felt like they were just too much to put on one. So these are my qualitative findings. I found that teachers view common planning time as real collaboration and productive planning. They I also found a study that said many teachers do a large part of their planning at home or after school because the planning time worked into the school day isn't enough, which goes into what I said earlier about teachers working outside of contract hours, increasing burnout, horrible on the mental health. And another study showed that teachers describe their work as overwhelming and insufficient for completing key tasks during the school day. A friend said to me recently that teaching is the only job where you have to find time outside of your job to do your job. And that really made me think about this project because how true is it when you're a teacher and you're putting out 50 different fires and then you've got 45 minutes while your kids are at PE or lunch or wherever, and somehow you're supposed to make your copies and have all these meetings and call the parent that left you a message and check your box and do all the things that a teacher is meant to do in that short window. It seems to go by so fast. And these are my quantitative findings. I found a policy analysis that said elementary teachers receive 47 minutes of planning time per day, and many districts did not clearly protect collaboration time. So to me, that meant that those teachers had the 47 minutes, and their district was like, well, you can do these other things too. Like, you can do these other things too. They didn't strictly leave that 47 minutes for planning. I know in my district it's 45. A national survey found that 73% of teachers reported individual planning time the previous day, but discipline interruptions reduced the usefulness of that time. That is a problem I myself have run into quite a bit. Um, and discipline issues within me, honestly, I really struggle to focus on one thing and get it done when I know I've got 50 other things to do. I start to do one thing here and another thing there, and then a third thing there, and all of a sudden I've done nothing. And it feels very overwhelming when you know you've got such a short amount of time to do it. And then a survey of early childhood teachers found that they received 37 minutes less planning time per week than scheduled. And only 1 in 10 said they had enough to complete all of their work. That is a very low number. And 37 minutes less makes me wonder what's happening in that week to make it 37 minutes less time per week. That made me curious. These are four core things I learned while doing this research. Planning time is not valuable just because it exists. Again, just because it's there does not mean you're making the most of it. That doesn't mean that it's effective, and that doesn't mean that it's serving you. You've got to find a way to use all of your time in a way that's meaningful and matters, and most importantly serves your students. Planning time must be protected from interruptions to be effective. Again, if you're trying to do one thing and then you get pulled into a meeting, or you get pulled to watch a class, or you get pulled to do all these other things, your planning time really isn't as effective as it could be. So, to combat that, you have to protect it from interruptions. You have to shut your door, lock your door, throw away the key, make sure nobody can bother you, make sure that you don't have any other engagements. And then collaboration time is important for co teaching, team planning, and instructional alignment. To me, this meant that planning time is important for when teachers can get together and decide as a group, as a team, as a grade level, what are we all doing for all of our kids together that matters. That instructional alignment is so, so important when so many teachers are on the same page. And then teachers need enough time not only to plan, but to reflect and respond to student needs. This one was very important to me because it took me way too long to realize that I can do all the planning in the world, but if I'm not sitting down and thinking about what I'm actually doing, what my students are getting, if they're getting it, it really doesn't matter that much. And then finding a way to respond to those needs that I identify in my reflection is so, so important because if I don't know their needs, what am I really planning? So on the left, I've got my research's impact on me and how I plan to use it in the future. I can use planning time more intentionally by identifying my top priorities before the school day begins. I've already started to kind of do this, sitting down, thinking to myself, making an itemized list of things that I have to complete during my planning time and not doing anything else until I complete it. I found that that has been a major change for me. Protect my planning time from non essential interruptions when possible. This to me means not going to talk to a teacher friend because I need to vent, or maybe not sitting at my computer and taking some me time right then, protecting my planning time from the non essential interruptions, making sure that if it's not something I've got to do, if it's not an IEP meeting, not something super urgent, that I take my planning time for what it is meant for. And then using my planning time for lesson design, differentiation, and things that will just directly serve my students, will directly serve them, meet their needs, meet them where they are, making sure that my instruction is always student centered. And then my reflection. These studies showed that research can directly inform teacher scheduling, workload, and collaboration. Before starting this course, I really didn't have much use for educational research. I had never read it before, I didn't know what it was for. But now, choosing a problem of practice, researching that, and finding so much research about it has really shown me that it's a tool for improving daily professional decisions. And these are all things that I can do, especially the qualitative research. Hearing those real teacher stories, those real teacher anecdotes was so encouraging to me, made me feel seen, made me feel like I'm not the only one, that this is a problem that real teachers are facing everywhere, and they found solutions. And this is page one of my references, and this is page two. Thank you.